All right, so I've gone ahead and I've opened up my exterior scene. So what I want to do is go over to movie mode so we can start recording. Step one, let's hit record. And now let's think about the types of angles we'd want. So generally when it comes to exterior, I like to do some corner shots just so I can see two elevations at once. So I'll leave that somewhere around there. And I think I could do a simple push in. So I'll do a keyframe here. I'll zoom in a little bit. We'll do the same, and we'll see how that timing is. Okay, I like that. Let's do 6 seconds. Perfect. Once I have that, I'm going to hit check mark, and I'll move on to the next clip, and let's do a nice side pan. Yeah, something like that. And you can do this kind of like as a preview. You see how this tree is kind of in the way? You could do the camera clipping plane and remove that. That's definitely an option. So let's do something like this. I'm going to increase focal length. I want to frame the building nicely. Camera frame, and then go over here and do the same. Let's do a test. A little too fast, so we do 6. Perfect. Awesome. Now we move on to the next clip, and I'm just going to do a bunch of short clips all around the house. That way, we're getting every angle of the house covered. So I'll do this, zoom in, and then keyframe again. And now I'm going to go to the backyard, just so we have that as well. Especially with a pool, you want to... Let's try and find a nice spot. I kind of want the pool right here. I'll bring this in a little bit so we can focus just on the building and the pool. And I like the way this tree is framing here. So I'm going to hit that, zoom in a bit, do that. So we're getting like a nice view of the pool, and then we kind of swoop up. So I think this is awesome. And then just like the interior scene, we could do a entire effect stack, so we don't need to do each one individually. So to do that real quick, I would go over to entire movie. I'd go to add effect. Let's do ray tracing. Samples. Leave it at 64. Again, every time we boost this, it's going to be longer and longer, right? And this could take forever. So I don't need to be like perfect. Kind of okay with this, and I can customize this and see, you know, how much time it's actually taking. So if I were to just do a quick test, let's see what that's going to give us at half, 30 FPS, full HD. I'm going to save this. Test sample. Okay, and let's see what time we're given. It's warming up. This is bearable. Perfect. If you want to make it even shorter, you could remove one of these. You could even reduce the amount of time, right? Because every single second is going to add time. So if I were to go here to edit clip and then change all these to 5, you're going to see we're going to have a huge drastic switch in time. Watch this. So let's edit all these to 5. I'm just editing each of them. I'll leave that because that's good. Short too. So let's see what we've got now. We should be at about like 2 hours now, because we've removed 2 seconds, which is going to be about 60 renderings. Okay, so this is going down. Yeah, as you can see, it's getting shorter and shorter. Yeah, so we shaved about like 10 minutes from there, which makes sense. Okay, all right, cool. So quality is good. I mean, if we are in a 8 and then 4 samples, you'll see what a difference this is going to make. Yeah, look at that. So a little cheap way to kind of save you some time. Again, it's not going to be like super photo. It's not going to have here, but with everything moving, you might not even notice it. The other issue is once we start adding effects, it's probably going to slow this down, but it's good to just get a simple baseline of where we're at, because once this is at like 10 hours, right, that's not going to be good. The other thing we could do is even reduce the frames per second, right? So instead of doing 30, we could do 25, and we could do quarter. And look at this. And look at that. That's going to be 45 minutes. So you can see, like, just a simple setting can easily shave like an hour, 2 hours from your render time. Okay. All right. So let's go in. Let's play with our real skies. Okay. Let's rotate the heading. I don't want too much shadow. So I do have the option of using my sun effect if I want more precision over the time of day. That's an option. Or I could just find one that suits me a little bit better. Let's try this one. It's a little lower. Let's go higher. In here. Okay, that looks nice and bright. Okay, and since we're not dealing with artificial light, we don't need to worry too much about the sun intensity and the brightness like we did before with how it was affecting our artificial lighting and all that. So we can play with this. Okay, that's gonna add some light there. And that's gonna brighten everything that's too much, right? So we just want to lower that. And let's add some color correction. Okay, we're going to boost our exposure just to brighten it, right? And our contrasts, I think around like 150 is nice. So now that I've got these baseline settings, I can definitely like lower the sun a bit so it's not as intense, but you can see I'm like bouncing around to fine tune the settings as needed. Perfect. Cool. And this is going to look good for our front views. So if I switch here, yeah, that'll look great. That'll look great here. Beautiful. Here, I might need a different real skies, right? Just because of how the sun is coming in. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to overwrite this with my own real skies. Yeah, there you go. Add depth of field. And it's going to be valid for the first 3 clips, right? Because we're all talking about focusing on the same thing. So I'm going to have this, see around there. Okay, that's pretty good. I don't mind that. And that's going to carry over to all of them. And then for this one, I'm going to want a different depth of field, right? Because we want the rear to be in focus. So let's go edit again. Let's click our back here. Checkbox. Autofocus. And now the higher I increase this, the more blur we'll have here. So you'll notice here that we actually have keyframes. Let's say you want to change the focus or the intensity of any of these settings. You would actually key it right here, right? So added a key here. Move your camera. Setting. Move your camera. Hit key. And then you can change. It gets. So one of the perks of using this keyframer, and you could do this for anything. It could be the amount, it could be the heading of the sky. You have different options here. So that's what that means. All right, this is looking good. Let's play the entire movie. And this took us no time, right? Within 10 minutes, we were able to generate the cinematography for this video. Let's great. Awesome. And let's say I want to add one more clip, say right here. I want it to be in the front yard. So I'm just going to do, let's see, what do we want to show? Yeah, I'm going to do something from out here. Something's going to be a little more detailed, but I'm framing my shot with this here. And setting that. Okay, let's play that. That's beautiful. I hit check mark. So now that I created this new view, and the reason I was doing that is you'll see how this is out of order. So now if I were to play all these clips, it's going to look a little weird that we went to the backyard and then we went to the front yard. If you click and drag, you're able to switch the modes. So that's why I wanted to create a new clip to show you that you can move things around, that you're not locked into that. So that looks good. If I want, I can override depth of field on this one, give it some more control, more blur. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, it's generally like higher than I usually go, but I do like the blur here. Okay, cool. So the other thing we'll notice is across the street, you kind of just see the horizon line. So what we could do to kind of fix that is we can add some detail here, right? We can add more trees. We can add some fake suburban houses. So if I were to go here to object, place, so let's just grab things that might look okay. And then I'm going to add trees this quick. Okay, it's way too dense. Okay, it's still a little too much, but you get the idea now when we look at the reflections. Once I go back to movie mode, you'll see at least there's detail. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. You don't want to just see like blue, right? So that's what that's going to do. We can add some more on this side if we want, but that's how you fix that. You just need to give it more detail. Otherwise, it's just reflecting nothing, and it's not the greatest thing to be reflecting, right? We also have these clusters of trees that we were using before. We could do the same thing where, let me switch to nature. I can just do an alt copy, and that will help block the view of the horizon line. Perfect. Now I'm going to go back to movie mode. There you go. See? So that looks much more fuller, much more realistic. And I feel like even as a rendering, this is actually really, really beautiful. So like I'm saying, like I kind of want to use this as a rendering. So what I would actually do is if I go to edit clip. So let's say if I wanted this as a rendering, I can actually just go to render movie and then switch to current frame, and it will give me this as a rendering. So you have, if you want to go in and customize these a little bit more, like this one, since this is kind of like a duplicate, I want to go in there and edit. Yeah, this is the time to do that because I'm going to render this all out and then show you the final product. But I'm also excited to see what you guys create. So make sure you're sharing your animation with a group. So let's say I want to do, this of just flowers. So I'm going to go down here. And I'm just updating. So let's play that. Check mark. And okay, so continue working on this, tweak your clips, and then export out a video, and this will be your first animation with Lumion. So just so you can see what we've done so far, I'm going to play the whole movie so you can see the preview. And what you could do, if you want, for each of the clips, you could add a fade in, fade out animation feature. But I personally don't like the blur in and outs. I feel like the new trend with ArcViz is like you have these jump cuts, which is kind of what we're seeing when we're moving between clips, right? You can do the fade. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just something I've noticed. And if you were to do that, you would just click new effect and you would do fade. So just, if I do this, I've got fade in duration and fade out duration. So if I move this back, you see how it's black. There you go. So I think as an opening, that's totally fine. I actually don't mind that. It's just the out duration I would probably remove on a per clip basis. I think for the entire movie, I think it's fine that like your ending actually is black. So what I mean by that is if I hit play, it's going to go to black. There you go. So like this, I think is fine, but for per clip, I wouldn't do it just because it's going to feel a little choppy. Hope you had fun making your animation in Lumion.